When will we see you on the track again? When I first started asking this in prayer, it was not what I thought I wanted. You know what? You're literally living in an answered prayer right now, but you don't even remember that because you're focused on the outcome of something else. If you think about it and it's not that big of a deal and it won't matter in like a couple of years or a couple even days or weeks, then don't trip about it. I wanna go a little bit more about what it looks like being a content creator. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Cindy Sember. In today's video, we are going to be doing a Q&A. So I asked you guys on my Instagram to ask me some questions regarding health and fitness, track, working out, even relationships with marriages and just relationships with God as well. So I have a lot of questions to answer today. And if you guys ever want to have your questions answered, make sure to follow me on there because I periodically will ask you to submit your questions. So today's gonna just be a candid, chill conversation. And yeah, let's get right into it. Alrighty, so I just have the questions here. So I'm looking at my phone. Somebody asked, do you ever doubt God? So I won't say I doubt God, but sometimes I struggle with trusting God in seasons. So for those of you who may not be aware, I am a Christian. I have been a Catholic my whole life, and I have a story on just my faith and how I've grown up with it on my channel if you guys want to go back and watch that. But I have recently started to incorporate my faith into my fitness life, and that really has made a big difference, but it also has allowed me to see like God's hand in a lot of things, and it also has allowed me to kind of get through hardship. So in that process, I have had times where I was sad and I was confused with what God was doing, but I think what really helped me was to just continuously persist with praying and asking Him to reveal Himself, and even if He doesn't show me what I'm supposed to see in that moment, just to give me some type of peace and some type of strength. And I think I have been able to keep going with hardships and adversity because of that. And I think just the intentionality, the constant pursuit of Him, always going after Him, has allowed me to truly mesh the two together. Yeah, I think in terms of doubting Him, it's easy some days to just feel like He's not listening more so. And it's also another question I think was on here. So somebody asked, what to do when you feel like God isn't listening? And honestly, you just have to keep trusting. I've learned that I have asked in prayer, like, okay, God, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this season of life. I don't know why I went through craziness and track, whether it was through injury or falling at the Olympics. I had asked Him a lot of different questions, and I don't think I necessarily always got answers, and that's okay. Like, God doesn't really owe us anything, and I think I had to learn that the hard way of like, okay, even if I don't hear Him in my head telling me this is why this is happening, I have to trust that at the end of the day He's helping me to become the person I'm supposed to be through that stuff I'm going through. So it's just a lot of trust and a lot of belief, and I think just going through your word, and that's something I've done in the recent years, is just going through scripture to help me to remember that God is faithful. And also, I talked about this as well in other videos, but going back to past journals. So something I'll do is I'll go back to my journal entries that I've written 5-8 years ago, and I'll see how God has come through in other situations. So if I'm going through something hard, I'll go back and see how much He's answered my prayers. And that has made a huge difference, because I'll feel like He doesn't listen, but I'm like, you know what? You're literally living in an answered prayer right now, but you don't even remember that because you're focused on the outcome of something else. And I have to like reshape my mindset every day of, you have a lot of blessing, you have a lot going for you. Trust God with the rest, and He will make your plans straight. And that is obviously biblical. So yeah, I just recommend getting into a word, start writing it down, some of your questions or prayers or whatever it is, put a date on it, and you'll see God come through later on in your life in whatever way. It might not be in the way you think it's gonna be, but ultimately when His plan prevails in the best way for you, it's gonna be the best thing for your life. And that's what I had to learn. All right, another question is how to eat healthier. So I have a lot of experience with trying out different diets, and I talked about that in my latest video. If you guys wanna go back and watch that one, discussing some of the things I had to do to shift my dieting and my healthy eating. But the biggest thing I'll say here is don't have foods that you don't want to eat around you. Like, I am somebody who is super tempted by unhealthy snacks, but constantly always having those things you want versus the things you probably need is what's gonna set you up for failure. So what I like to do is I like to have like healthy desserts, healthy snacks around me, that when I am having that sweet craving, I can still have that desire fulfilled without going to, you know, the super sweet fruit snack. I'll replace them with, you know, healthier fruit, or I try to even just do more vegetables that honestly will keep me more satiated. So I say all that to say, don't tempt yourself with stuff. Give yourself like maybe a cheat day or just a cheat meal once in a while, because that also helps with persistence. I think when I was trying to go hard all the time with healthy foods and never gave myself a break, that's when I wanted it more. I have to remind myself, like, if I do have that cheat meal, like that's when I'm gonna have some of the things I want, and that keeps me going personally. So yeah, that's just something I recommend. And if you're an athlete or somebody who is trying to become more lean, I recommend doing more protein heavy diets. So if you can find more protein meals, it's just really good for bones, it's really good for strength, it's really good for overall muscle strength. So if you're trying to like really grow that and feel, I guess, better overall, then focusing on a protein-rich diets is something I highly recommend. How to shuffle and avoid flat foot running in between hurdles. As a hurdler, I've been a hurdler since I was 15, or I started when I was 14, I quit. I have a whole story around that too. I became serious about hurdling when I was 15, and when I first started, I promise you guys, I was not good. Like, I was taking 1,000 steps in between the hurdles, which if you're not a hurdler, you're only supposed to take 3. And I was just running kind of just all over the place. And so what really helped me with that was, one, getting faster. So truly focusing on my speed and doing a lot of speed and agility work. So if you can do speed and agility work, that's gonna help you tremendously get in between those hurdles and to run and shuffle and have that quick step in between them. Another thing that helped me was doing hurdle drills. So going over the side of the hurdle for your trail leg, for your lead leg, for over the top, just getting those quick movements of, you know, I'm gonna do these quick drills every single day to reinforce good habits, and sprint mechanics will also help with that. Really just overemphasizing the technique is what's gonna help you in getting faster. And another thing that really helps with speed and just getting faster is the weight room. So I was fine when I was younger. I didn't start incorporating weightlifting until I was like in the university. And once I started doing that, my times drastically dropped. I felt like that shuffle became so much quicker because the power was just there and it felt so much more effortless. So if you can, definitely find a weight coach or somebody to help you start incorporating different weightlifting routines just to supplement that speed that you want to have so that you can overall become a better hurdler. All right, let's see. What advice do you have for college athletes that want to pursue running after graduation? I think this is a great question. For college athletes who want to pursue running, I recommend doing your best at university while you're there. How can you be the best version of yourself on the track, on the field, whatever sport, the court, whatever sport you're doing, regardless if it's not just track, but how can you be the best athlete that's gonna, you know, set yourself up for getting a contract, or even if it's not a contract, but making sure you can run those times and just like kind of looking at what the professionals are doing right now. So kind of doing market research, like, okay, people who are out of college, what times are they running? Let's say you're a basketball player, how many points are they scoring each game? Just kind of like referencing others who are doing what you want to do and seeing that, and then getting into that mindset every day. And that's what I had to do. I think I was very fortunate to have a sister who ran before I did. I was able to see a lot of the professional world before I entered into it. And so seeing that they were running times out of this world, I mean like world ranking times when I was younger, truly motivated me to say I can do this too in university because I see them doing it, I'm gonna work hard to do it too. And that set me up personally to break school records, to, you know, get seen by agents and shoe companies because I was running that fast. So seeing that, I think just being able to see and know what they're doing is gonna help you. And honestly, studying. I study so much of my competition, not even just people I compete against, but people who I wanna be like. So I remember looking up to one of the athletes who was Olympic champion, and I would study her rhythm patterns. I would study how, you know, she would go over the hurdle. I would study how she would do different things. And I just really loved learning ins and outs of my sport. And so if you can start doing that now and just really falling in love with the whole journey and process, I think that'll make a big difference. That's what it did for me. And then just being diligent. If you can just be diligent in everything you're doing, it's gonna translate to the professional world because there are so many people in the professional world who are good. Everybody's good at that point. So, and even if, you know, you are great, somebody else might have a better day than you. Like, it's just one of those things where like any little thing can kind of hinder that first place position because everybody at that level is so high. So yeah, just get comfortable with seeing what everybody else is doing, get really diligent with the work you're doing now, and it will translate to a professional career. Not everybody enters into professional careers with contracts, so just be aware that sometimes it can be a little bit hard to make it a financial stable thing. So some people have to have jobs on the side just to kind of get the ball rolling, and maybe eventually once they start making enough cash, whether it's through prize money or they get a small contract or whatever it is, then they can use that as like a full-time job kind of thing. But just be aware that it can be a bit hard to get that contract right out of university. All right, we're gonna enter into some relationship questions now. So for those of you who don't know, I am married, and I've been married for 4 years, going on 5 in March. It's actually kind of quick. It's crazy how fast it's been. But I'm gonna answer a few of these now. So when did you know you wanted to get married to your husband?
So I knew pretty early on, I mean, we both knew pretty early on. We actually got engaged 11 months after we got married, we got engaged 11 months after we met. And I think that was because we both knew what we wanted in a spouse. My husband knew a few months in, I think I knew a few months after that. So yeah, I think being intentional with what you want, and what I did in my single season was I would write down some of the things I wanted in a man. So I would say, how do I want him to be? What are some must-haves, like some non-negotiables? What are some things that I would like to have, but if he doesn't have it, that's fine. Just being clear on that, because it'll help you weed out people when you start dating. Like, it'll help you weed them out very quickly. And so that's what I started doing. It was just making sure I knew what I wanted. And once I was clear on that, it was like anybody I met along the process, I made it easy for me to see it. And I met my husband, it was like he was just checking off a lot of those things. And it's like, oh, okay, this is making sense to me because this is what I would write down. And also, another thing I did personally was I prayed about it. So I asked God to kind of reveal to me the desires he wants for me to have in a husband. And when I first started asking this in prayer, it was not what I thought I wanted. And that's how I knew it was God, because I was like, oh, I wouldn't have naturally thought about this on my own, but now that I'm praying about it, these are things that I desire. And now, how long have we been together? We've been together for like, I think 7 years now. 7 years later, we're together, and I'm like seeing all those things that God was putting in my head and showing me, like, this is what you're gonna want in somebody. And now I see why. Because there's so many things once you get into a marriage you don't realize are so much more important than physical and all these other things. Don't get me wrong, those are important too. I think it's good to be, physically attracted. Like, there are a lot of other things to pay attention to when you're looking for a spouse. So that's just what I recommend, is be intentional with what you want, figure it out, take some time to like pray about it, and that will make it so much easier to narrow it down for what you truly want. Another question is how to have a thriving marriage. So keep God at the center. That's a big one. I think he kind of orchestrates everything in terms of being a successful marriage. If you don't have God, I personally don't know how marriages are working without God. That's just my opinion. For us, we like to keep God at the center. So we go to mass together, we pray together, we pray for each other. We just like to make that a center of our marriage. Another thing is being very communicative. With my job, I was traveling a lot, and my husband might have to travel at times, and we just like to make it a point to make sure we're always communicating, even if it is on the phone or texting or whatever it is, but just being always just aware of the other person and not just being like, well, I'll see him when I see him, or, just knowing like this person is a big pivotal part of my life. Let's make this an intentionality, because if you're not growing, you're dying. And just having fun. We try to have fun and keep things light. Sometimes I think in marriage, people say this a lot, but you need to choose your battles. And I think that is a very true statement, because there are little things and nitpicky things you can get mad about. But at the end of the day, if you think about it and it's not that big of a deal and it won't matter in like a couple of years or a couple even days or weeks, then don't trip about it. Like, literally, it won't mean much. And if you can just like not hold on to things that frustrate you, then I think that keeps it light. It makes it enjoyable. It'll make you guys get along more. Marriage is about two imperfect people coming together, and you guys are not perfect regardless of how much you might think you are. Like, God uses marriage to bring a lot out of you. So just know that it is a sanctifying thing. There's a lot dying to self, and if you can think about it like that, then I think that's when the thriving marriage happens, because you're not having all these unrealistic expectations. Like, Disney tries to make it seem like, oh, marriage is all about flowers and weddings and all this stuff. And it's like, that stuff's cool, but that's really not what marriage is about. It's about the nitty gritty. It's about going through hard. It's about communicating. It's about, sacrifices. So there's a lot of things that go into a marriage. All right, somebody said, what's your favorite social media platform at the moment? So for me, it is YouTube. I absolutely love it. I don't know if this is considered social media. People say it is, people say it's not. I think it's still social media because I am able to communicate with you guys, and I'm making videos on here. So this is my favorite platform at the moment. I love making videos on here. Let me know any other ideas and topics you guys want to see from me, because I am experimenting a lot more this year with different things and just seeing what people want to see from me. I also like TikTok. I'm starting to like that a lot more. I'm on Instagram a lot. I have been over the years, but Instagram hasn't really been my jam recently. I think TikTok is more interesting for me. So yeah, I like all of them, but I would say YouTube, then TikTok, which is interesting. And then, which I don't even scroll on, I'm just like creating on there. And then Instagram, where I will probably scroll more because I follow more people on there. So this is a question that I might make a separate video on eventually, but I'm gonna acknowledge a little bit right now. It is, when will we see you on the track again? And we'll figure that out when it comes, but at the moment, I am not competing this year in 2025. And there's a lot of reasons behind that, but ultimately, I just need a break from sports. Mentally, physically, it's led me to this decision. I am not retired, but I am taking a break. So I will not be competing. You guys will not see me indoors or outdoors in the 2025 season. We're just going through a season of just taking a break. And I think it's what I really, really need. And I honestly think it's really healthy to just be like, let me just take a second to reevaluate some stuff
and just take a break for myself and give myself that rest and recuperation. Yeah, I'm not retired, so I'm not saying this is the end of Cindy on the track, but this is a break, and just know that I am going to be still creating different workouts and fitness stuff. I'm still working out, but it's just not to the level that I was when I was training for the Olympics. So yeah, we're taking a break from this year, and it's definitely different. It's a transition, okay? I've been playing sports my whole life, and I mean, yes, I've had years that I've taken a break because I wasn't running, like per se because of injury. I was still in it, whereas like now it doesn't feel like I'm in it as much, and it's a bit different. So another question I got was, how much money do you make from YouTube as a creator? I wanna go a little bit more about what it looks like being a content creator, because some people do have questions about this. I'm not gonna go into specifics of how much I make, but I will give you guys an estimate of what it looks like. So you can make money from affiliate marketing, which is something I actually do. I have a couple of brands that I work with where if I am promoting their stuff, I get a cut of what they make. So I get a cut from that, but essentially I have a code, people use their code, and that's when I make some money from that, if they use my code for it. Another thing that I can make money from is brand partnerships. So I sometimes will have a sponsored post that I'll make on my Instagram, my YouTube, and that will ultimately be money that you receive as well. So that post will generate an amount that you'll have. I also will do campaigns like for the Olympics. They use my image and they made videos on their stuff during that time, and that also was another form of income. I had another brand that I worked with, a big one actually, I believe it was Airbnb, and I was able to just like do something with them, and they could decide if they wanted to take it further. I also make money from YouTube AdSense as well. So in terms of content, there is a lot of upside of people making a lot of money on it. So if this is something you ever want to do, you definitely can make money. It's about how much time and effort you put into it. With me being focused on athletics and that being my primary job, I have never put too much effort into, you know, it being a job essentially. I think that it can overall or long-term be something that can be another source of income for sure. So if that's something you're interested in, you can do. But as for me, I have made money from it. Somebody said, are you going to retire this year after Worlds? No, I answered that earlier. I'm not retired yet. I just am taking a break. So I'm not retiring. Just for anybody who's out there thinking I am. Somebody asked, what is your favorite color to paint your toenails? Very interesting question, but I'll answer it. I actually like to do like brighter colors. So I like pinks, I like white, I do red sometimes. I'm a very vibrant color person when it comes to nails. So I like to express myself through it. And sometimes I'll get subtle like nude nails and I don't like them as much because I'm like, I want something bright. But yeah, that's kind of what I like to do. Those are some of the questions that you guys asked me. Like I said, if you want to be involved in any of these Q&As, go follow me on Instagram. I will attach my handle here and you guys can go on there. You can even just DM me questions. I respond to pretty much all of my DMs if I can. And I try to like get in communication with you guys. So I hope you guys like this video. It gave you a little bit of insight into me, my personality, like things I think about, and hopefully some encouragement for you guys as well. You can go back and watch some of these other videos and get some more content from me before I share my next weekly vlog. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more. Until next time, see you guys later. Bye.